Hamas shuts down Gaza talks until 620 Palestinians freed by Israel. German Conservatives seal election win. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for joining us. I'm Otto Othman and you're watching World Today. Hamas officials say that negotiations with Israel are frozen until it releases 620 Palestinian prisoners as agreed upon after Hamas had freed 6 Israeli captives. However, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warns Israel is prepared to resume fighting in the Gaza Strip at any moment while vowing to complete the war's goals. For the first time since 2002, Israeli tanks have been deployed to the occupied West Bank as the military assault intensifies. Egypt and Qatar are reportedly pressing Israel to release the 620 Palestinian prisoners it promised to after Hamas released 6 Israeli captives from Gaza. An unnamed Egyptian official involved in the talks said Egypt also refused to discuss any Israeli demands before then. Palestinian families are devastated after the Israeli Prime Minister's office postponed the release of the Palestinian prisoners. Hamas says the delay is a blatant breach of the Gaza ceasefire deal. It added that Netanyahu's decision reflects a deliberate attempt to disrupt the agreement, representing a blatant violation of its terms and shows the occupation's lack of reliability in implementing its obligations. Germany's opposition Conservatives won the national election on Sunday, putting leader Friedrich Merz on track to be the next chancellor, while the far-right Alternative for Germany came in second on its best-ever results. Now, Friedrich Merz is set to lead Europe's largest economy after his conservative CDU-CSU group won Germany's parliamentary election, taking the reign at the time of strained relations with its biggest trade partner, the United States, and weak EU-China ties. The conservative CDU-CSU bloc won 28.5% of the vote, followed by the AfD with 20%, as per an exit poll published by ZDF Public Broadcaster. Under German rules, the winner of the election must form a government that has at least 50% of the votes. Meanwhile, German SPD Chancellor candidate Olaf Scholz called the outcome of the general elections a bitter result and a defeat for his party. Addressing disappointed supporters at an election party in Berlin after the exit polls were announced, Scholz said he took responsibility for the result. SPD are in third place with 16.5% of the votes. After the collapse of incumbent Olaf Scholz's unloved coalition, Merz must forge a coalition from a fragmented parliament in a process that could take months. Meanwhile, Merz said Europe must boost its own defense capabilities amid growing US-Europe tensions over Ukraine and NATO funding. Merz said that the absolute priority will be to strengthen Europe as quickly as possible so that they can achieve independence from the US in independence matters. Merz is also quite eager to observe the developments that will occur between now and the NATO summit scheduled for the end of June. NATO chief Mark Rutte congratulated Merz in an ex-post and told that he was looking forward to working with Merz in this crucial moment for shared security. Earlier, United States President Donald Trump congratulated the election winners without naming Merz and also claimed the conservative victory was part of his own success. United States President Donald Trump has expressed confidence that Washington can successfully negotiate the end of the Ukraine conflict. Trump is optimistic that the 3-year crisis could end as early as this week. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the president and his team are very much focused on continuing negotiations with both sides of this war to end the conflict. Leavitt also said the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has been involved in discussions about a proposed deal with the Ukrainians to harness raw minerals. Meanwhile, the Speaker of Ukraine's parliament has said that the Ukrainian government will start working in earnest from the beginning of next week to conclude an agreement on earth minerals and security assurances with the United States. Ruslan Stefanchuk, who is close to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, said Friday that the Ukrainian government will have an expert team start from Monday working towards signing an agreement with the United States. North Korea is providing 50% of Russia's ammunition needs at the front in its war against Ukraine. The Kyiv's military spy chief, Kirill Budanov, said North Korea has deployed thousands of troops to support Russian forces. According to Ukrainian, United States and South Korean assessments, Pyongyang's first major involvement in a war since the 1950s.
Не можна в цьому аспекті не згадати про їх, вже тепер можна казати, стратегічного союзника Північну Корею, яка на 50% задовольняє всі, скажімо так, витрати фронту в боєприпасах. 50% боєприпасу – це корейські боєприпаси. Так само почалося масштабне постачання озброєння. Перш за все, це 170-мм самоходні гаубиці та 240-мм реактивні системи залпового вогню.
North Korea has already supplied Russia with ballistic missiles as well, and in 2025, it plans to send 148 missiles. Hundreds of protesters gathered in Toronto's Nathan Phillips Square yesterday as a show of support for Ukraine to mark 3 years since it was invaded by Russia. Ukraine enters the 4th year of all-out war with Russia on Monday, unsure it can rely any longer on its staunchest ally, the United States, as it exhausted troops fight to hold their ground against unrelenting enemy advances. Donald Trump blasted Volodymyr Zelensky last week as an unpopular dictator who needed to cut a quick peace deal or lose his country. While the Ukrainian leaders said the United States president was living in a disinformation bubble. Protesters in Toronto said Trump has a chance to be on the right side of history by including all parties involved in peace talks. Laura Sidorenko, another Canadian supporter, said Zelensky was voted in after an election and clarified he is not the reason the war started. At the heart of the current relationship is a deal under discussion that could open up Ukraine's mineral wealth to the United States, with Trump seeking hundreds of billions of dollars to repay Washington for its support. Iran's army launched the large-scale Zulfikar 1403 joint military exercise over the weekend, spanning the southern and also southeastern regions and extending into the South or Sea of Oman. Conducted under the theme Stable Security under the Shadow of Self-Reliance, Unity and Power, the drill aims to test an array of military capabilities, integrating new technologies and advanced combat tactics. The spokesperson for the operation, Brigadier General Alireza Sheikh, highlighted the exercise's distinguished features, the deployment of sophisticated weaponry, and the strategic message it conveys to both regional and international audiences. He added they have closely analyzed previous threats and incorporated the latest advancements in military technology to enhance the Army defense capabilities. The key focus has been on leveraging artificial intelligence and precision targeting to create a more integrated and effective battlefield strategy. By combating different combat systems in unique configurations, they aim to challenge conventional defense doctrines and introduce a new level of operational flexibility. A significant focus has been placed on advanced and integrated warfare systems, with forces deploying state-of-the-art electronic warfare capabilities, cyber defense mechanisms, and sophisticated air defense systems. Japanese Defense Minister Gen Nakatani visited a military base in La Union province north of the Philippines' capital Manila on Sunday to inspect a mobile air surveillance radar system. The radar system was sent by Japan as a part of a landmark defense pact agreed last year between the two countries. Japan and the Philippines signed a $10.65 million security assistance deal in December 2024 to boost the Southeast Asian nation's maritime security and surveillance abilities amid heightened tensions in the South China Sea. And in July, the two countries signed a landmark military pact allowing deployment of forces on each other's soil, smoothing military cooperation between the two countries.
Well, よりしっかりとしたこの警戒監視、これが必要でありますし、また日本、そして米国、そしてフィリピン、こういう国々が協力をしてですね、地域の平和と安定のためにさらなる協力をして貢献していかなければならないということを強く感じました。
Both the Philippines and Japan, two of the United States' closest Asian allies, have taken a strong line against what they see as aggressive behavior by Chinese vessels amid decades-old disputes over maritime sovereignty. On Sunday, Nakatani was representing the coastal radar systems under its Overseas Security Assistance Program to enhance its maritime domain awareness capabilities. Coming up, Emperor Naruhito marks 65th birthday with call for peace. An American Airlines flight from New York to New Delhi was diverted to Rome on Sunday following a possible security concern. The U.S.-based carrier later said in a statement that the flight landed safely in Rome and law enforcement inspected and cleared the aircraft to be redeparted. The statement offered no details on the nature of the security incident. Earlier, an Italian airport spokesman said the diversion was due to an alleged bomb scare. The Boeing plane carrying 199 passengers plus crew landed at Rome's Fiumicino Airport at 5:22 p.m. local time without further incident. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, confirmed the plane had landed safely after the crew reported a security issue. The flight was escorted by two military fighter planes, the Italian airport spokesman said, and all passengers were disembarked and received assistance at Rome's airport. The spokesman also said that the airport operations were not affected by the incident. American Airlines is one of the largest U.S. air carriers and is headquartered in Fort Worth, Texas. Its international operations serve more than 60 countries outside of the United States. China's business community strongly opposes the United States overstretching the concept of national security and hindering bilateral economic and trade exchanges. A spokesperson for the China Council for the Promotion of International Trade, or CCPIT, made the remarks in response to a query about the American First Investment Policy Memorandum. The spokesperson added, the United States is not only restricting investment from China in sectors from technology, critical infrastructure, healthcare, agriculture, energy to raw materials through security reviews. It also using economic sanctions and financial audits to strengthen controls over investment in China in terms of industry scope, investment types, and funding sources. The spokesperson warned that if implemented, these measures would severely affect normal business operations, undermine international economic and trade order, and disrupt the security and stability of global industrial and supply chains. The spokesperson urged the United States side to respect the laws of market economy and the principle of fair competition, clarify the boundaries of national security in economic and trade fields, and lift restrictions on two-way investments between China and the United States. Countries will resume negotiations for the COP16 Biodiversity Summit on Tuesday in Rome to negotiate how to pay for $200 billion a year of biodiversity protection by 2030. The COP16 talks in Colombia ended abruptly last year as the negotiations ran into overtime and lost quorum after many delegations departed to catch their flights. The Rome talks seek to finalize the remaining agenda issues, which are mainly focused on which finance mechanisms should be used for protecting 30% of the world's land and oceans by the end of this decade. With more than 1 million species on the brink of extinction, the world agreed to a landmark deal in 2022 to protect biodiversity, including a pledge to protect 30% of the world's natural ecosystems linked to the Paris Agreement on climate change, but for nature in order to address the drastic decline in biodiversity globally. The resumed session will run from 25th to 27th February, while COP17 will take place in Armenia in 2026. Emperor Naruhito, marking his 65th birthday on Sunday, stressed the importance of telling the tragedy of World War II to the country's younger generations. Naruhito also pledged to contribute to efforts to promote the understanding of history and the determination for peace as the world this year observes the 80th anniversary of the war's end. Naruhito, accompanied by his wife, Empress Masako, their daughter, Princess Aiko, and some of his younger brother's family, waved from the palace balcony at well-wishers. Later on Sunday, he celebrated his birthday at a palace banquet. The war was fought in the name of his grandfather, then Emperor Hirohito. Naruhito said he and Masako, who were born after the war, have learned from his parents by hearing their stories of wartime experiences and thoughts about peace. His father, Akihito, who abdicated in 2019, was known for his devotion to making amends for the war, and Naruhito said he will follow his example. His concern resonates especially with that of many survivors of the U.S. atomic bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, who are worried about the lack of progress in nuclear disarmament and growing support for nuclear deterrence.
In 2025, Malaysia proudly leads the ASEAN community into a new era of unity, growth, and opportunity. Together with 10 Southeast Asian nations, Malaysia is driving progress in trade, innovation, sustainability, and tourism. Explore the best of Malaysia, from its stunning landscapes to its rich cultural heritage. Be part of global events, business summits, and exciting festivals throughout the year. Join us in 2025. Discover new connections, celebrate unity, and experience the future of Southeast Asia. ASEAN Malaysia 2025. Together, we rise.
Up next, Liverpool beat Man City to extend lead at the top 10 to 11 points. The Olympic Council of Asia, OCA, unveiled over the weekend the list of 11 esports events that will be featured in the 20th Asian Games in Aichi, Nagoya, Japan in 2026. Now, the announcement followed an emergency online meeting held by the OCA's executive board on Saturday. The OCA's executive board unanimously approved the inclusion of the following titles for the 2026 Games: Competitive Martial Arts, Team Competition, Pokemon Unite, Honor of Kings, League of Legends, PUBG Mobile Asian Games version, Mobile Legends Bang Bang, Identity 5 Asian Games version, Naraka Blade Point, Gran Turismo 7 eFootball Series, and Puyo Puyo Champions. This marks the continuation of esports' growing presence at the Asian Games. First introduced as a demonstration sport during the 18th Asian Games in Jakarta, Palembang in 2018, esports was officially recognized as a medal sport at the Hangzhou Asian Games in 2023, with 7 titles contested. Meanwhile, Moonton Games head of esports ecosystem, Ray Ng, said this historic milestone not only validates Mobile Legends Bang Bang's impact on competitive gaming, it also reinforces MLBB's role in uniting diverse communities through high-level play. Undaunted by playing at the home of Manchester City, Liverpool produced a performance worthy of champions to move 11 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Now, a 2-0 win at the Etihad earlier this morning extended Liverpool's lead over second-placed Arsenal and consigned four-time defending champions City to another humbling defeat in an ever-worsening season. On Wednesday, a 3-1 loss to Real Madrid sent Pep Guardiola's team crashing out of the Champions League. Back to domestic matters on Sunday, and City were powerless to slow Liverpool's march towards the title. Mohamed Salah was again Liverpool's star performer as he opened the scoring with his 30th goal of the season before setting up Dominic Szoboszlai to double the lead before half-time. The final outcome could have been much more humiliating for City had Liverpool been as accurate on the counter-attack after the break. The trip to the El Etihad has for so long been the stiffest test of all, but City's defensive frailties were easily exposed, and they also badly missed the presence of the injured Erling Haaland in attack. Liverpool, by contrast, had their talisman fit and firing as Salah took his staggering tally this season to 25 goals and 16 assists in 27 Premier League appearances. Solomon Barega and Enchinalu Desi secured an Ethiopian double at the Zurich Marathon de Sevilla World Athletics Elite Label road race on Sunday. Barega is a world silver and bronze outdoor medalist in the 5,000 meters and 10,000 meters respectively, but his greatest achievement came at the Tokyo Olympics when he won gold in the 10,000 meters in the Japanese capital. Barega celebrated his marathon debut with a strong showing at the Seville Marathon on Sunday. Barega broke away from the pack to race to a comfortable win in a time of 2 hours, 5 minutes and 15 seconds. Compatriot Tefere Adisu finished second with Morocco's Mohamed Reda El Arabi rounding out the podium. In the women's race, Desi powered to victory in a time of 2 hours, 22 minutes and 17 seconds ahead of Manon Trapp. Trapp was visibly overcome with emotion after crossing the line with her time setting a national record for France. Sunday's race was the 40th edition of the Seville Marathon and sold out all 14,000 places. American Michaela Schifrin won a record-extending 100th Alpine Skiing World Cup victory on Sunday in the Italian resort of Sitri. Schifrin won the slalom, finishing 0.61 seconds ahead of second-place Croatian Zrinka Lutic to become the first skier, male or female, to reach triple digits in World Cup race victories. Schifrin's hunt for her 100th career World Cup win was put on hold after she crashed during a giant slalom race in Killington, Vermont in November and suffered a puncture wound in her abdomen. She returned to racing at the end of January and won a record-equaling 15th career World Championships medal earlier this month in Salpak, when she and downhill champion Breezy Johnson struck gold in the new women's team combined event. Schifrin had appeared slightly off the pace in her World Cup return, finishing 25th in the Sestrini Giant Slalom on Friday and failing to make the cut in the same category on Saturday. In January 2023, Schifrin passed compatriot Lindsey Vonn by winning her 83rd World Cup race, and most by a female skier. Less than 2 months later, the twice Olympic gold medalist established herself as the most successful alpine skier in World Championship history, male or female, when she topped retired Swedish great Ingmar Stenmark's decades-old record of 86 victories. The Women's World Cup returns in Kvitfjell, Norway on 28 February. Carlos Sainz has become a director of the Formula One drivers' body, the Grand Prix Drivers Association. The 30-year-old Spaniard, who has moved from Ferrari to Williams for this season, fills the vacancy left by four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel, who retired from F1 at the end of 2022 and stepped down as a GPDA director last year. Sainz joins chairman Alex Square's Mercedes driver George Russell and Anastasia Fowler as a GPDA leader. The GPDA was formed back in the early 1960s and has predominantly focused on safety matters. For example, the GPDA and WERS were instrumental in the adoption of the Halo head protection device in F1 for the 2018 season. It has since saved a number of lives in serious accidents. But in recent years, the drivers have found themselves increasingly at loggerheads with Mohammed bin Salayim, the president of governing body, the FIA, who was elected in 2021. Ben Salayim's action have led to concerns among many stakeholders in F1, and the drivers are weighing up how to respond to his decision in January to codify a process by which drivers can end up facing a race ban if they swear. Sainz has said this month that it is wrong to threaten F1 drivers with bans for swearing, although he agreed the drivers should avoid bad language in news conferences and television interviews. Fernando Alonso says Aston Martin will start the new season in a much better place than they ended in a difficult 2024 as they launch their new car. The new team principal and chief executive officer, Andy Cowell, said the car's aerodynamic package is close to 100% new in an attempt to improve their performance. Aston Martin finished fifth last season for the second year running and fell back through the field in both 2023 and 2024 as their developments failed to deliver the necessary performance. But hopes are high for a better season as a state-of-the-art new simulator and wind tunnel come on stream at a new factory finished last year, and with design genius Adrian Newey joining on 3rd March as part of a major leadership restructure. The veteran Spanish two-time world champion said the team had been working with the new simulator this winter to better understand why developments did not perform as expected over the past 2 years. Alonso said the simulator has been updated and the team has been working a lot in the sim to develop the car a little bit more precisely than the last few seasons. And that concludes today's edition of World Today. In our top story, Hamas shuts down Gaza talks until 620 Palestinians freed by Israel. Now, till then, I'm Otto Othman from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Thanks for watching. Have a pleasant afternoon.